Paul Trin here with Row64, doing Python tutorials and showing off some new features that we've gotten Row64 2.0. I just want to go over today cohort analysis and show you some new recipes that we have that we're really excited about. I'm going to show it to you in the Python way and also the Row64 spreadsheet style syntax way. It's super simple. Let's just jump right into it. I have opened up Row64 here. Let me go ahead and just reopen it now, just so you get the full experience. But when you first open Row64, you're greeted with this gallery template. We're not working here today. I'm going to have another video explaining these, so I'll just go ahead and close this out so you can see. Close. I'm going to maximize my screen, and I'm going to click on recipes up here on the top left when I'm inside the data frame. When I do that, I get this wonderful library of over 300 Python scripts. And what I'm really focused on today, and I wanted to show you, was our take on cohort analysis and to do some churning analysis. So, in fact, what is cohort analysis? Cohort analysis is a study or an analysis that involves looking at a group of people, and you look at them over time, and you try to analyze and observe changes in their behavior. And this is so that you can see maybe possible trends that are occurring, so that you as a decision maker at your business can identify potentially which potential cohort is more valuable. Maybe we dropped or lost some revenue in some cohort for some reason, and we can go back to those clients to see if we can entice them to come back. But yeah, it's kind of a really simple analysis, but it can be rather time consuming, and depending on how much data you have, impossible sometimes to do in Excel. Obviously, it depends upon how much data you have, but it tends to work really, really well in subscription-based models, and it helps tremendously with helping people evaluate how valuable their annual recurring revenue is. So, as you can see, I clicked on cohort analysis, and immediately we've got three different sections. We got cohort analysis on a monthly basis, cohort analysis on a quarterly basis, and cohort analysis on a yearly basis. I'm only going to go through a couple of these just to kind of show you the power of these things. So I'm going to go ahead and first start off with churn heat map. So I'm going to click example here, and what you'll see is that Row64 immediately injects in very simple language. I'll explain all of these things and what they do. But you also get this wonderful graphic here on the right, a visual, right, to explain what's happening. So before I go into mechanically what's going on over here, let's go ahead and start and look at the graphic itself. What does this graphic mean? It means that people that signed up for a subscription, and in this case, this data set over here, what happened was that when they signed up, they would last for rather 44% of these people in the first month of 2019 would actually leave. And then of that remaining balance, 56% left. And then of that balance, another 55% left. So you kind of see a trend here. It's talking specifically about how much people leave after a certain period. So if you have 10 people that signed up in January of 2019, after that first month, you would have 6 left. And then of the 6, you would have 3 left. And then of the 3, you'd have 1 left. And then until you have none, right? So that is basically what a churn tells you. And it's really important because you can start to look at this graph and immediately start to notice some certain trends here. Like, for example, in the very beginning of the first half of the year, we had over a 40% attrition rate or churn rate. And then we somehow improved that metric later on. The first month, we're able to retain and keep our customers in our subscription service. Immediately I'm looking at this, and I also notice that whoever signed up for whatever reason, this cohort that signed up in June of 2019, they're they churn at a much lower, seems like a much lower rate than their other cohorts. So I would want to spend some time studying June to see maybe is there a reason why in June people are churning less. Is do we run a special, for example, on and provide an annual discounted monthly rate, you know? So just kind of things to kind of look at. Some other things that like would alarm you, obviously, is whenever you see something like this, right? You have 80% drop off in this cohort only in month 4. So what's going on here? Why are these people so much more prone to leave? Similarly, the same thing with February here. Why are 62% of people churning? So that's kind of where it goes, or what this graphic or visual tells us, right? And it can obviously be applied to your data. So let's quickly walk through really fast what all of this on the left means. So if you've seen other videos, I've kind of talked a little bit about how you can load data into Row64, how you can analyze the Python behind it. But let's just take a look. I'm going to click over here on both because I like to work in a mode that allows me to look both at the Python and the simple syntax at the same time. And you can see here the 4 lines of code, 4 lines of Row64 spreadsheet style syntax generates quite a bit of code for this cohort analysis. So let's just dive into this really deeply. And if you want to study this code in detail, you're more than welcome to. You can study all of the various methods that we call, as well as all of the libraries that we're calling in, and you know, kind of analyze and study this if you're trying to learn how to do a cohort analysis in Python. So, but let's go ahead and explore this really fast, and I can explain to you what's going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and just increase the size of this real quick. I'm going to go back to my formula mode so you can see this. So what's going on here? Well, first we're loading our data set. Now you can load your data set on a CSV. You can do that with database connections. If you don't know how to do that, view my other videos, and I give a really quick tutorial on how to connect and bring and import data into Row64. But specifically after that, you have to type in set plan names, and these are just the basic plans that your subscription service might have. So if you have more than this, you're more than welcome to you're more than welcome to actually expand this list. You can make it shorter. It is a list, so you can have as many things as you want inside of that. You just have to make sure that whatever you pass into this, the number of plans you have, your plan links must also match. So don't put 4 things here and then 5 or 3 things here. So you can see here, basically, it makes sense, right? Like we have basic monthly, pro monthly, plus monthly, pro yearly, and plus yearly. What does that all entail to? This is like plan links. We're doing a monthly churn right now, so you want to put this in terms of months, right? How often that someone can reschedule or repay, right? So you're delineating the number of periods for each of these plans. So basic monthly is 1, pro monthly is 1, plus monthly is 1, pro yearly, obviously a 12-month period. Same thing with plus yearly, a 12-month period. Once you have that, you're indicating now to Row64 that you want to do a monthly churn heat map, right? Which is what this is right here, this heat map over here. And what you're passing through as arguments are first the date, then followed by, I believe this is the unique customer ID. So, yep, column M is our unique customer ID. And then D is, I believe, the name of the actual plan itself, right there. So if you follow this format in your data set, you're going to be able to quickly do a churn analysis. I'm not entirely sure how big this is, but Row64 can handle millions of rows. So don't worry about Python being unable to do this type of analysis. It totally can, and it will outperform anything that Excel can do. But as you can see, really quick and really easy way to generate a monthly churn heat map. I'm going to pop into the Python real quick again and show you that again. So you can see here what we're doing is we are importing 3 different libraries here. And the coolest thing about this is actually if you wanted to study this in general on what's going on each of these codes, each of these little blocks, you could actually just delete this, and on the right it'll pop out, get rid of the stuff that you don't care about. So it's pretty powerful. If I delete this right here, right, it gets rid of a lot of that Python. So you can see here that we basically are creating our own custom function called monthly trend heat map, passing in a data frame, putting in the date columns, etc. All these other various plan lengths and names. So those will be derived off of all of these set plan names and set plan lengths. And I'm sure that if we look into here, you'll see these being called and passing in these definitions that will be used in this formula. So it's pretty cool, pretty wild, and then it automatically kicks out this image. What if you didn't want monthly trend? Maybe you wanted some other, graphic. We have actually done other styles. So let's say, for example, instead of wanting to do a monthly trend that resets every single month, you wanted to do a cumulative. I find this is pretty helpful too. Oftentimes people are confused by a monthly trend with remaining people. So when you click on cumulative, it can mean different things for different people. It just depends upon your audience. So it's going to be really important for you to know your audience and what they are going to gravitate towards most. I love this version because this one tells you how much people ultimately left, right, until you're no longer at 0%. So you can see here, it's pretty amazing. I don't know why, but you look at this and it's like, look, for January and February, we don't have any customers. They've all left us after the 5th month. We need to study as to why that's happening, right? Because our best performer here right now makes sense. March, this data set goes through the end of 2019, and we have people that are there from the beginning all the way to the end. It's probably likely due to someone signing up in March, I think, on the yearly plan, but it's just something that we should investigate, right? Here for April, you would look at this and be, why do we have such a huge churn in the very beginning, right? And then alternatively, if you move down, you start to look at things like, oh my gosh, June's such a great performer. How do we get our other cohorts to behave like this cohort? What do we do in June that was so different than the other months? Maybe we can learn something from this month of people and apply that to our others. And then the last thing I would take away from this is down here on November. This one's actually performing the best right out the gate. So I would be cautious to continue to look at their performance as time moves forward. So yeah, so that's the cumulative version of that. We have the vintage version too, which is the exact same thing, but this is just but it is expressed as a line. I find this way more useful than the line, at least from an interpretation perspective. But that's just me. Could be someone else. We also have in here a net dollar retention heat map, and what net dollar retention is basically analyzing is the percentage of how your annual recurring revenue has either grown or shrunk within that year time frame. So it's just really good to understand, how are you growing your revenues or are you losing revenues? So really useful tool. Net dollar survival is kind of like the same thing. And yeah, I invite you to kind of explore all of these tools we have here, because our new cohort styles are just absolutely amazing. I can click on any one of these things and say, let's say for example, I want to do cumulative churn vintage here as an example, right? You can see here over time, it's just showing you, really powerful way to manipulate this. Let me just move this down so you can see it. So you can see over time, it's quite obvious that this brown line is just performing way better than all these other ones up here, but you want to make sure that you're paying attention to November here. So it's just regurgitating the same information, right, in different ways to help you tell your story better. And again, knowing your audience is the best in order to know which visualization to pick. So yeah, and again, we do this month. We've provided this on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, and on an annual basis. If you're curious to make these formulas yourself, be sure to check out our recipe creation video, which is done by my colleague Brandon. Thanks so much for your time. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let us know. Thanks.